Hello, everyone, and welcome. My name is Luis. I am head of product design here at YLD, who is the organizer of Design Systems London. Welcome to number 16, which I feel is starting to get quite a big number, actually. Very proud of that. Who has been to DSL before? Put your hand up. Yes, nice. Who is an absolute first timer then? That would be the rest of you. Great mix. Love that. Half and half. How many designers do we have in here? Good amount. Any amount of designers is a good amount. How many engineers do we have in here? Great amount again. Fantastic. Really good blend. Do you have any product people? That too. That is good. Brilliant. So behind you, you can see my introduction, which I haven't even started. But as I said, my name is Luis. Design System London, we ultimately started this with the intention of creating a stage for anyone who's interested to talking about design systems. We welcome new-time speakers, first-time speakers, experienced speakers. We have had speakers who have traveled all the conferences, and we have people who are coming on stage for the first time. Everybody with equally interesting stories to share around design system. What I'm really happy and proud about these days is that we get a lot of design engineers, and we also see more and more product people. Personally, I am a great believer in the Holy Trinity. I don't think that design systems can function if you don't have product, engineering, and design working together. So it's very good to see audiences or members or community from all of it. Let's take a look at the agenda for today. So we've already at the welcome and company introductions. In a minute, we're going to hear a little bit from our sponsors. Then we have 3 really great talks. We're going to talk about themes and tokens, scaling design systems, and design system beyond components. All of this might seem like familiar topics, but even if they are, I can guarantee you that there will be something that you have not heard or thought of before, because that's what always happens. And that's what's so great with this type of events. We are going to have a Q&A session after the last speaker. So if you have questions, we also have a Slido where you can put those questions into, or if you're feeling really brave enough for it, you can ask your question live right here in the audience. I can see some people are already thinking, this is going to be my moment. I'm going to do it. And then obviously we're going to do a little bit of networking as well, because we need to have a break at some point in the middle. We do some networking at the end as well. And for those who are interested, we will head over to the pub and have a drink, because, you know, we're in Britain, so you have to do that. Right, so some general logistics. For those of you who don't know, somebody will probably say this later, but the bathroom is around there, and what looks like the wall, there's a door, just push it. Code of conduct, same as always with anything. Just be nice to each other, keep your language clean. If you're asking questions, do it in a nice way, and just have a really great time in the chat, and don't share any inappropriate content. But we do want you to share things on social media. That's absolutely great. We have I laugh at this all the time. We got a lovely hashtag, Design System London, short and easy. So if you are sharing something, please use one of our hashtags so everybody else can see what you're doing. If you want to follow us, we have a LinkedIn profile page, so you can see when our next events are. And you can obviously also check out YLD's Instagram. And you think to yourself, that's a lot of information. How am I going to remember all of that? Don't worry, I've got it all here. So this is the QR code. Here you can ask questions to your speakers. You can do all the following us. You can join our next event. You can see recordings from previous events. When you think that's a really interesting conversation, I wonder if they spoke about that before. And obviously you can also see any open roles that we have at YLD. Okay, so I think that's kind of take us to the first sponsor chat. Here we go. You are ready. Excellent. Stage is yours.
Absolutely. Amazing. Thanks, everyone.
There you go. No, that's not you. That's you. This is you.
Lovely slide, that, I think. Yeah. Hi, everyone. My name is Robbie Cook, and I'm a product designer here at NewDay. Unfortunately, our head of product design couldn't be here, hence why you have me. Apologies. A little bit of housekeeping before we get into the really good bit. So Wi-Fi up at the top. Take your phones out, take a picture of it. There might be a bit of a dodgy sort of cellular patch here, so you might not get any signal. So there's the Wi-Fi. Please stay within the bleachers. We do have security around to keep us all safe and whatnot. Don't worry, there's no dragons up there, although there is a Teletubby hill. It's a bit weird. Don't ask me why. And the toilets are back through the gates here on the left, just in front of the cafe. Brilliant. Hopefully that works. So yeah, welcome to NewDay. Welcome to our quite beautiful office, actually. This used to be a little bit of history. This actually used to be called Midlands Goods Shed back in the 1800s. Trains used to come through here. People used to get on carriages. Goods used to be kind of dispatched up to north. So it's quite an interesting place to be. Architecturally, I think it's pretty amazing, especially as we're all designers. So having that as well is pretty cool to have that as inspiration. So what do we do? Who are we? Our mission is kind of helping people move forward with credit. And we've partnered with YLD for probably about 3 years now to kind of power design systems, get us through that. And kind of the core 4 things that kind of help underpin all of that is embedded finance, where we're providing sort of financial sort of solutions like post-checkout, like pay in 3 and things like that, and installment plans. Credit cards, so traditional credit, but that's aimed more at sort of people with lower credit scores, trying to help them build that credit, get them more comfortable with credit and build that relationship. And then personal loans, I'm actually the sort of the designer that works on that at the moment. So we offer quite nice sort of personal loans, again, to kind of help people move forward with credit and build that better relationship. And then we also provide a business-to-business solutions where we're actually helping other financial companies with their technology, with their sort of back-end integrations and things like that. So kind of a big sort of pronged approach. So some of our clients, that's the front of our building, which you came through, taking a very nice time there, the golden hour or the pink hour. Some of our brands and clients, you would have heard of a few of them, some household names like John Lewis and Partnerships, Debenhams, Black Horse Pay, Evans. Last year, we acquired the Argos Pay catalog. So that's added about, I think, 2 million new customers or 1.5 million customers onto our portfolio. And we have about 5 million total customers across that. But then a few other things like Aqua, you might have heard of, BIP, Fluid, those are all of our credit card solutions as well. So enough of me. Here's a little video. Hopefully this plays a little bit about what we do.
Excellent. Thank you very much. So a big thank you then to NewDay for hosting us. So we're going to actually go back a little bit quickly because there we go. This is where I wanted to go next. So as I said before, YLD is the organizer of this event. So I've also got Toby here from YLD, who's going to give us a very quick introduction to what it is that we do.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone. Perfect. I'm Toby Arise, and I'm a client partner at YLD. I actually work really closely with NewDay. I'm here most weeks. Funny to see a lot of familiar faces here. Shout out to NewDay for hosting us here at DSL. Before we start, I'd like to tell you a bit more about YLD, who we are and what we do. YLD is a technology and design consultancy that specialize in a range of things and work with clients in fintech, hospitality, healthcare, and design. We've been around for over a decade, and community has been a big part of that. We ran the first Design Systems London in 2017, really focusing on helping teams build design systems that last long in organizations before and after we get there. Our teams at YLD include engineering, product design, AI, and systems. If you would like to know more about this and what we do and the roles we hire for, please reach out to me, Luis, or any of the other YLD people here. Could you give us a wave with YLD t-shirts? Thank you very much. Please enjoy your evening. Thank you.
So that is a word from our sponsors. And now we're going to have a word from the sponsors are very important and we love them. But now we're going to have the word from the people that we actually came to listen to. So we're going to start off with Michael. So Michael from The Independent, I'd like to welcome you onto the stage. Thank you.
Hi everyone, I'm Michael. I'm head of UX and design at the Independent Media, and it's nice to be here tonight. If you want to find me, you can scan the code, but there's another one at the end, so don't worry, and I'll be about. So to give you some context of the scale of Independent Media, we reach 650 million users every month with over 1 billion content views across all platforms. And of some, oh, I forgot this one. Which button? Okay. There we go. So there are some of our brands that we have, and we're going to be focusing on the Independent tonight, which is kind of our core brand. And for the Independent alone, that's over 18 million page views, and we have 26 million in the US, which results in 2.1 billion page views in the last year. So when you're operating at this kind of scale, a single hard-coded bug doesn't just break a page, it impacts millions of users. So we obviously try and avoid that as much as possible. So Dot wasn't built by a massive dedicated team. It was a passion project by designers and devs to fix hard-coded styles and duplicate code. By the time we hit our stride over the last year, we realized we couldn't just patch the old system. That's what led us to the massive refactor this year, moving away from fragile overrides and into slot-based architecture that we have today. So we started tokenizing in 2024, designing 4 distinct thematic modes. The Independent building inside .ds, our design system. So we have standard light and dark modes alongside specialized editorial modes, white on black, which we call WOB, and black on white, which we call BOW. To keep the code base lean, we've built this using deferring. If a theme's color matches the base, it automatically inherits it, immediately wiping out clusters of duplicate code. So typography tokens were a recent addition for us, started earlier this year. We have a lot of ad hoc legacy tokens, which are sitting alongside official tokens. We did that because we weren't quite ready to touch type when we did color. So we just told the devs to make up a token. As long as it's tokenized, fine. And then that means we could then tackle it later. You don't end up with a load of bad styles in there. So we're still swapping them out. As you can imagine, the Independent is quite a words-based business. So there's a lot of type on site, and designers have made decisions over the years just by going, oh, I fancy that size or this size. And then that means that you've got lots of inconsistency, which we're trying to now iron out. However, tokenizing text and color was only half the battle. We still had a fragile structure. To give you an example of what we're up against, back in 2023, we rushed out a premium badging redesign. We had kind of like a month to get that out. And because of those tight deadlines, only those layout styles were totally hard-coded. We literally patched on top of what we already had. Sorry. Bear with me, I'm out of sync, I think. No, I'm not. So the hero card, which promotes our biggest stories, the main points of differences we did at the time were a larger headline. We had an author name kind of up in the top left-hand corner in what we call a chip, and that was a manual override at the time. So editors would, to swap out the voices which would come in as standard, they would swap in the name. We had themed gradients, so we introduced the teal gradient. And the most important thing was the premium badge in the bottom right-hand corner. And that was to tell users from the first off that that was a premium piece of content. So our base card was our main story card. On this one, we flipped the image to make room for the premium badges in the bottom corner. And we kind of sort of tightened up a bit of padding so that the card was smaller, so it'd take up less room on the page. The content card, which was the simplified story card. Later, when we experimented with imageless content cards, the click-through rates plummeted. We learned that design choices have direct editorial impacts, although it was editorial at the time, but told us to remove the pictures. We couldn't at this time A/B test easily. So this refactor that we're about to embark on will make this possible. Editors then started actively avoiding these components because they didn't perform. And that meant that you ended up with stories that they didn't think would do well. They dumped in those slots, which then probably made people not click on them even more. But because the code was so rigid, we couldn't pivot quickly. The exact friction was one of the reasons why we did this new card refactor. We then noticed that bugs kept appearing on site after we released new features, which required constant maintenance. So as you can see highlighted on this screen, the yellow boxes on the slide were the legacy code base fighting the new tokens, causing color leakage, assets dropping off the page. And we realized we just couldn't patch the code. It was just every kind of sprint, there were these little bug tickets going in. So that leads us on to the design brief back in 2025. I would like to say we didn't spend an entire year working on this project. It was paused and then paused again while priorities were rechanged. And we had one editor brief this in, and she since left, and we had a new editor start when we launched it. So it was a lot going on. So this feature had already existed on the independent app. It had been there for a couple of years. The main difference was we had headshots to distinguish between comment and normal news pieces. And the editor wanted this on the website itself. We have some impressive journalists at The Independent and some famous individuals who write for us, and they're recognized by their faces, so it helps uplift this type of content. So that brings us to today. So in earlier, probably a few months ago, actually, we started refactoring these cards. And to future-proof the engineering and support multi-brand scaling, we've since built a MasterCard component. It uses rigid slots for flexibility. Without being fragile, it cleanly separates the parent architecture from the children cards. And I'd like to say this version here was predominantly built for the developers. We've got versions in Figma which do it, but we have to break it down into multiple cards. But this version will power all the cards across the site and eventually future sites. So when we looked at our desktop hero cards, we discovered kind of a gradient issue that was clipping images and obscuring critical content. Gradients were used predominantly due to a fixed height limitation, which were no longer required. So, and it's easy to look at mobile first data and deprioritize desktop. But as a major publisher like The Independent, desktop is our brand credibility layer. When other global news organizations run stories about our coverage, they will screen grabs of the desktop homepage, and then this is all over those news channels. So fixing this wasn't just an aesthetic cleanup, it was about our brand authority in the wider media landscape. Right, so this is a good example of what was happening. Important image context is missing on the story card. You can see that it's got the big yellow box next to it. So after discussing with the editorial team, we quickly realized that nobody liked the gradients. Design hadn't liked them for a while, but we kept trying to make them work. But editorial, after about 10-minute conversation, just said, oh, get rid of them. So we got rid of them. And then, as you can see here, the context is restored. So the card's a little bit taller. That's the payoff for this. But you immediately see that the context in that image, it was a war zone image. Whereas before, it just looked like a beautiful church that was kind of been hidden. We also feel as a design team that removing the gradients has made these components fresher, more modern, and a much cleaner system. It also frees up opportunities for these cards later, but when we get to them. So we have free child cards using slots to power our home and section pages. Our hero card kind of uses the WOB theme and has slots within it. And ideally, we would use one piece of work per slot. But as things develop, we might end up putting multiple things in one slot. As you can see, there's subtle changes to the card overall. So we've got tighter padding on chips. There's no gradient, which was the big win on this one, and consistent spacing. As you can see, it's a lot of work to get something that looks almost identical. However, it's now consistent throughout, and we've got the opportunity to expand this. So our base card structure, very similar to the hero card, except for it uses the light theme, so it's white, and it has very similar slots. The main difference on this one is we have two what they called action slots. So we have one on the left and one on the right. The one on the left powers brand bulletin cards, and the one on the right powers indie cards. And the capability is there for both options. And as you can see, just consistent spacing now, very little change. Like the naked eye now users probably won't notice, but as an overall kind of when you see the whole thing together, it all kind of matches nicely. And our content card, which is the base card minus the image slot, basically, and has all the same slots available. The main difference on this was we bought the live chip, which was floating in the bottom corner, up into the bottom slot. The main reason for that was is it stopped headlines crashing into it, which was annoying. So that brings us on to the core design system architecture, which operates across 4 layers. We have the archetype, which is .ds, our design system. We have our brands, which is the Independent and Bulletin currently. And then we have themes, which power those brands, and suites, which I'll come on to shortly. This shows our current architecture. We currently have 3 suites highlighted in yellow. We've got the Bulletin suite, the Premium suite, and the Voices suite. And we have then now kind of our base area, all of the independent themes and the bulletin themes. And if you think of the archetype as the master storybook library, it dictates the pure structural components. Brands like The Independent and Bulletin ingest that structure and apply their theme identity. This brings us to the most novel part of the architecture, suites. So if you look at this code graph of the theme composition, you'll see how we've isolated functional elements. Instead of duplicating structural logic across the Independent and Bulletin, we bundle shared elements like badges, quote marks into independent suites. Engineers write individual brand theme that just injects the brand particular style tokens. It gives us a total component installation and guarantees 0 layout shifts when actually switching themes. As you see, not much code has done that, which is quite clever, I think, as a designer, but I'll leave it to you guys. And then you can see here the presentational elements working in action within Dot. If a theme doesn't have a presentational element, it shows as not configured. And different themes can utilize these presentational elements. So we've done all that work, right? And now we can finally implement the voices cards, which was the original brief given to us back in 2025. And as you can see, the final cards here. So this is our base card. The voices version, the point of difference is the headshot. The background is powered by the theme, which means the picture desk can cut the person out. And if that sits in premium or climate, the background color will change automatically. The author name shows in our kind of tag space, and that is now powered automatically. So there's no more editorial overrides, which cleans up their workflow. The voices theme uses a new color scheme, which is kind of a coral rather than the hard red of the independent brand to soften it. And we use presentational elements from voices, which in this case is the quote marks. The premium voices version, which uses presentational elements from voices and the premium themes. So from voices, it powers the quote marks, and the premium suites power the badging. The hero card doesn't have headshots. And that was an editorial decision because they felt that they wanted to add pace across the page, but it does still power the quote marks that appear and all the color scheme. And our content card, where the biggest win is for this, now has an author image built into it, alongside presentational elements from voices and premium themes. We hope for a higher click-through rate. We'll test this over the coming weeks because this released a few weeks ago. And then because we're a news publisher, we have millions of people visiting the site. It won't take long to gather that data, and then we can iterate if we need to. But hopefully now the editors will have more faith in these cards and they'll start using them for these particular stories. So this was the final day, which coincided with the Makerfield by-election. And as you can see, editorial were already using these new styles right at the top of the homepage, which is kind of a nice validation that they like the cards. And we're hopeful that they're going to start using them more. And this was the ultimate payoff of the project. So we successfully deleted 3,076 lines of legacy code. What we have now isn't just prettier UI, it's highly performant, scalable, and a resilient system that's already primed for up and coming projects. So looking to the future, .ds is powering the Independent and Bulletin now. We're laying the foundations for the future of standardization of the Standard and Indy 100, which are brands that we manage, using the .ds design system. So a little thank you to my fellow design team, Nick and Meggie. I'll just say that there's the three of us in the product design team. So, and we've kind of tackled this with our developers. So if you're looking to build a design system, you don't need a huge team to do it. You don't need a dedicated team to do it. Just crack on. Our product and dev team on this particular project was Vicky, Jess, JJ, and Jay, most of which are here today. So come and say hello to us afterwards. Thank you very much. It was nice to talk to you tonight.
Hear me now? Now you can hear me. Okay, so thank you. Thank you very much, Michael. That was great. So if you have any questions about this, or if there was anything there that you thought was particularly interesting that you want to discuss, please either mentally prepare yourself for doing it in the room, which I know you can do, or you can use the Slido and obviously just type it in there. We are just waiting for our next speaker to be mic'd up. We're going to hear about scaling design system for data-heavy products without losing your sanity. And I'm going to guess that that last bit is going to be quite important. I think we've all been there and failed on the sanity bit. So I'm very curious to hear how we do this. I welcome Ines, please.
Okay, is it working? I think it is. Yeah, I can hear myself. Perfect. Hello, everyone. Thank you all for being here today. I want to apologize first because I'm saying that I'm going to talk about design system, how to scale design system without losing your sanity, but I'm 50% about to losing it very soon. So yeah, sorry in advance. That was a bit of a lie from my side. So yeah, let's do it. I have a screen over there. So yeah, basically, this is me. I don't know, 3-4 years old. I will never, ever, this little girl will never think in her entire life that she will be here today in London talking about design system, working in design for now 16 years, living in her third country. So sorry if I mix up some of the languages I'm talking. But yeah, she will probably tell you, no, it's not happening. I'm running barefoot in the wild, in the countryside. So this is not going to happen. But yeah, here I am today, giving you a little bit of the map. Let me put this down first. The map for today. So I'm going to start with breaking the theory about design system, how it fails with heavy data products very easily. The part that is very, very close to my heart right now, which are tables. I'm doing a lot of tables. And after that, yeah, tokens and theming, documentation, mistakes I made all over the years and I learned from, and where I use and I fit AI in my process right now. So yeah, going on. So the real problem with design systems, we all know, everyone thinks it's one library, perfect clean Figma token, Figma files, developers love it. And yeah, 6-8 weeks, we're ready to go. You don't touch the design system anymore. You know, we know it doesn't work like that. When you move into data products, it's going to break. It breaks because you're going to have charts with line, bars, candles, tables that have thousands of lines and rows and variations, documentation that nobody reads, and my current situation, 12 products, 12 different tables. And they are all unique and they all have their unique problems to solve. So that's when design system, it can work for smaller projects, a small dashboards, but when you work across so many different products with their own needs, that's when you see design systems usually start breaking and falling apart. So yeah, in terms of data products, why are they different? 4 things that make data product difference. Obviously, complex charts like line, bars, heat map, candlesticks, each of them white and dark version. Because if you have a work in finance or trading, you will know that traders love their dark screen. So you need to make sure it works properly in dark screen as well. So each of them will literally be a family of components on their own. Dense tables that have thousands of rows, inline editing, frozen pans, live data, which means your components are going to need to be able to move with the live data. And sometimes it looks good on a fixed screen that doesn't move. As soon as it's live and the data comes in and your numbers change, you're going to see your page jumping up and down. And yeah, of course, the problem of many brands, or if you work in an organization right now, Coalition Greenwich, I'm working with, it's one organization with 12 products. They all going to look different because you don't want your products to look all the same, of course. So straight into my real life problem right now. I have 12 products, 12 tables, which means I need to build a design system for all of them. A single design system that will scale across all these tables. So yeah, one table is not just one cell with a bit of text. You're going to have text, numbers, you're going to have dates, you're going to have different states, you're going to have errors, you're going to have disabled ones. And then, of course, you have your header with your title, your filter, freezing, resize, sort by, all of that. And the way I'm actually approaching this problem right now, I'm treating each table as an isolated product. And I do individual research for each table. So I'm currently, it's a work in progress. It's going to take time. I joined 5 months ago, so it's going to take, it's taking its time, but a lot of work has been done so far. And the way I'm approaching it is I'm sitting down with the users for each of these tables. And I'm currently scanning what they need. What is it that they need to edit, what to compare, where the eyes go when something is wrong. And only after doing all that research with the user for each individual table that I'm working on, I'm then sitting down, I look at the whole anatomy and what is it that they are sharing, what is it that they have in common, all of them. This is going to be part of my design system for my tables. And then what are the variations for each and edge case for each of these tables. And these ones, I will have the rest of the product team looking at them with me. But in terms of the rules for the design system and for these tables, what's common between all of them, that we're going to keep consistent the whole time and put in our foundations for tables, and what are the edge cases for each product, and these are going to be our exceptions. Another thing, I'm very into it, and if you've been working in finance or trading or data products, you will often notice that accessibility is not on point for tables. We are trying to put too much on one screen. Everyone wants to see everything in one go, so we're going to put everything way too small. Contrasts are not going to be there. So for me, it's not an afterthought. I'm doing it right now. Everything is being tested as we do the research, how we start building our cells. And yeah, my main component will be my cell that I'm going to test across all the different cases we have. And yeah, accessibility, color, visibility, all the errors, everything is tested up front. And I have, hopefully, very soon, developers coming to look at all of this with me. So that's my life now. 12 tables, 12 products. I'm going. It's a slow process. It's a lot of work, but yeah, it's paying back because right now everything is coming together as one product in one design system. Tokens. Start with your tokens and not your components. Nobody will give you any credits for your tokens. It's like a good plumbing. Nobody gives any credit for it until you don't have it, and it's flooding everywhere. So it works pretty much the same way. But yeah, start with your tokens. The mistakes that most people make, and I did it as well, was starting with components. So I will have so many beautiful components all ready to use. But yeah, my tokens were missing. And now, oh, I need to make a change. And we need to go across all these components one by one. And we know this is going to be days or maybe weeks of work. So it's always going to pay off to take some time at the beginning, starting with your components. Yeah, your core values. So like your colors, fonts, size, start slow. And then move into your global. That means like primary colors, brand primary, text primary, alias give the context. So this is going to tell you if it's like your button background or surface elevated, and your component is a final specific one. But yeah, I made that mistake in the past about having 40 plus components already beautiful, ready to use. And suddenly we had to change something in the brand or work with another brand or another product that wanted to use the same components, but we had to adapt the components, and that was like weeks of work because I didn't have my tokens ready beforehand. And yeah, as I was saying, multiple brands is where things collapse. The wrong way is literally to fork the whole library per brand. Now you are maintaining, let's say, 3 or 4 different libraries. One bug means 3 or 4 bugs to be fixed in the future. And every new component will be the triple or quadruple of work in the future as well. So yeah, the right way is to set your components and to set components and 1 token file per brand. The components stay identical. You don't change your components. There is nothing to change. A new brand is just a new file, and a single bug to fix. It reach all the brands you're gonna have in your tokens. Dark mode. Everyone likes dark mode, or at least I'm the dark mode person. Maybe I'm being too long in finance and data, so that's why I like the dark side. It's way harder than most people expected. Most of the time you will hear just invert the colors. No, it doesn't work like that. When you have chart, graphs, heavy data table, you're gonna invert your colors and you're gonna see that they fail. You're not gonna see many of the small details. Your colors are gonna break. Your charts are not gonna work properly anymore. Users think it's a bug, something is wrong, they're going to refresh, still doesn't work. And so, yeah, I saw at least in the past, many data products, financial products failing in dark mode. So you need to test, again, everything. The real lesson I got from it is to test with real data. So any negatives, any currency symbols, any icons, any red, greens, any stature colors, test all of them and make sure the contrast is there, the right size is there. Test everything with real data, obviously for white, but for dark mode, because it's very, very hard for everything to start breaking on dark mode. Ownership and documentation. I'm going to be very honest, I was terrible at that. I will create like the beautiful Figma design system file, but I was terrible at documenting my my work and making sure everything was ready for everyone. Usually it was ready for designers, but not for the rest of the product team or tech team. I'm still looking at the same area. Don't put everything in one giant library. At least that's what I'm learning, because it's going to break very easy as the team starts growing. The split that I like to do is to have the core versus the domain. So the core is going to be owned by the design system team. Everyone responsible to create the design system are the one owning the buttons, input fields, checkbox, data table, badges, you name it. And the domain is going to be owned by the product team. So any other designers working on products, they're going to be the one responsible for widgets, any other component like filter panels. They're going to be building all their work on your core system. And that's how I'm been working in the last few years. So you don't have basically one single person responsible of all of this, but split the ownership. It's going to make it way lighter on everyone, and everyone can focus on their own core problem to work on, instead of having one person literally drowning and be responsible for the entire design system work. Where am I? Oh, documentations. Documentation seemed that how many of you actually created tons of documents for your design system? Nobody is reading them. I think we have all been there. We designers tend to do a lot of things for designers. Right now, I not only have to do things for the design point of view, but for business as well, and make them understand what a design system is, and also for the tech team. So right now, officially, I'm writing 2 documents for 2 different readers. So designers with the need of usage examples, and for developers. So I have the tokens names, states, and code. I keep all the documentation live. Everyone can access them, but in theory, I have a third one because I'm writing some documentation for business also, so they can understand what a design system is, how beneficial it is for the company and the business and the product team in general. So technically, I'm actually writing down 3 different documents with 3 different target audience. Oh, some of my mistakes. I mentioned to you some of them. So components before tokens. I built 40 plus components in the past. Then suddenly a client wanted a rebrand because they wanted that product to look exactly like their brand. And now I have an entire product to basically rebrand by hand because my tokens were not built properly in the background. So it was like around 3 weeks of work just to adapt and change all the components for that specific clients. One person on it all, as I was saying, share it, delegate, have someone with you. If that person leaves the company or goes on holiday for a long time or anything else, nobody actually knows the grid work. So make sure you don't own the whole design system and share it accordingly, and everyone who's going to be responsible for their own work, their bits. Doc designs only, that only designers can read. Developers have to guess spacing and values and design versus coded. And we all been there, like when we're comparing the design versus the coded version. So make sure your documentation is for designers and developers. So on the same document right now, I'm going to have my components ready for designers to use, but I also have the dev version with all my spacings, all the proper namings, all the right color tokens, everything will be on the side for developers on the same document, so it's ready to use for everyone. Hopefully a coded version of that design system is coming very, very soon. So everything is going to be ready for the devs as well. Yeah, a data table as just a table. It's not, it's a product on its own. You're going to need to take every case one by one and understand every single cell and everything that has to be done for each of them, and not having like any versioning of anything. And next thing you know, your team is using version 1 of the button, the primary button, instead of using the latest version, which is now version 6. So yeah, making sure everything is versioned and properly documented, and everyone is using the right version. So right now, what actually works for me, it's basically a summary of what I've been telling you. Tokens first, everything follows. One library per purpose, not like a massive monster file. Share ownership between product team, design system team, making sure you all work accordingly. Bring engineers before, very, very early. That's my favorite thing right now, and that I learned over the years. I want the developers to be with me very early. I actually put them in my design workshops from the very beginning, because I like to have their input as well. And when building a design system, depending who you are working with, languages are different. I've been working across different countries as well, so engineers will build slightly differently. They have preferred languages. So when building the design system, bring them early together. You make sure you are talking their languages as well, because at the end of the day, they're going to be the ones building your design system. So sit together and learn the language and make sure your design system reflects that language. Yeah, version, make sure you version properly any change log, and every change you make is going to be there for everyone to use the latest version. So making sure you keep that super tidy and clean. And in my case, I keep telling businesses and companies I've been working with, when they ask me the question, when is the design system going to be ready? It's not. It's never going to be ready. You're going to have 80% of your design system built, and then you have all the edge cases that are constantly coming. And we are now in the era of AI. You're probably there as well. You have tons of new features that you have to think of, things you never built for before, and your design system is not obviously going to be ready for that. So all these edge cases will keep coming. So yeah, you're never gonna, at least I never saw a ready to use finish design system so far. I will be very happy to see one, to be honest. But yeah, never saw a finished design system. I think it's an ongoing process that we keep working on forever. AI, how am I using AI with all of this? So right now, I'm I have very strict rules in terms of using AI. Opposite from previous places I work with, fintechs, when any AI tool is welcome for us to explore, because I work with data and some private data. We are very restricted in terms of how we can use AI, but still manage to do it for the design system. So it's not going to replace the whole work, but it removes all the boring, I will say 70–80% of the work. You can actually use all your tokens and ask AI to generate your documentation. It was amazing because it generated all my dark and white versions automatically. I did a quick test. Funny enough, it missed 2 of my brand colors somehow. So I had to specifically go and say, hey, add these 2, please. So it's still not perfect. It still can fail. So it's going to generate ready to import token files, which I'm currently using. So I have JSON files and Excel file. Believe me or not, AI with Cloud Code is actually very good at reading my Excel files, my design system Excel files. I just upload them into it and give it specific guidance how to use that Excel file, as I'm now have multiple brands in it. And it gives me interactive prototypes with the whole right colors, or nearly all right colors, font size. So yeah, very, very good for quick prototyping. You can have JSON files and Excel ones to build your prototype with the right brand. And yeah, in terms of, it can literally turn your design system into a live coded example. We all know that by now it's not going to be perfect, and developers are going to complain about the code behind it. But it gives you a very, very good preview of what your live coded design system can look like, which is what I'm currently doing. I'm testing it live on live coded versions with AI to see how everything works and come across together. And that's how I'm using AI right now. And yeah, in terms of to finalize this talk today, I think design system is not the Figma file. It's what most people think. We are basically agreeing between teams about how we want to build together, how we want to make sure we move the right directions, and we all have the same, working on the same foundations. And yeah, this is not just a beautiful Figma file to present to companies and business, but it's a way of working together across different teams and technology. And that's it for me. Thank you very much, guys.
Okay. You can give up that. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Again, you can hear me? Yes? I never know if I'm connected or not, so I will keep asking. Another very interesting presentation. Thank you so much, Ines. Again, if you have any questions for Ines, please put them in the Slido or ask them straight out, which you're getting closer and closer to that moment, so it's about to make that decision. But before we get that, we are going to have a little quick break. There's food, refreshments, drinks over there, so please go back over there and help yourselves. We call you back to come back here for our next presentation, and then we're going to end with the Q&A. So please. Welcome back, everybody. Hope you enjoyed that little break. You might also have viewed a very, very quick run through of the previous two talks as I click through to come get us to the right slide. We are going to now welcome our third and last speaker of the evening, last but not least, Design Systems Beyond Components. Mike, please, stage is yours.
Awesome. Oh, Lewis.
Oh, absolutely.
I thought so. I was naked. Can you all hear me okay? Awesome. So I'm Mike Simpson. I'm the one and only designer for the design system. I'm not the only designer in NewDay, but I'm the only one that works on the design system. And I'm going to take you through what design systems look like beyond components. So where we are with Rise today. So I didn't really want to take you through a slide. I probably should have put one in now thinking about it, but where we are today now, we have 5 platforms, iOS, Android, 1 SaaS product, which is for our internal agents for our call center, web servicing and acquisitions. So web servicing, iOS and Android are very much the same. They're an account dashboard for all of our customers, basically, where you can look at your balances, make payments, things like that. Acquisitions does exactly what it says on the tin. That's where we acquire all of our customers, basically, and that's very much form-based. So that's quite a simple system to put Rise into. And then the SaaS product, as I say, it's for our internal agents. So that's very much quite a complex dashboard as well. So we've also got on top of that, obviously that's all built on different codes. So we've got Kotlin, Swift, and finally we've migrated over to Tailwind as well. We were using Chakra for quite some time, but we managed to get the web team onto Tailwind. So that's made that implementation much easier. On top of that, we've also got 22 brands. And you can imagine the complexity of our token systems from that point. On top of the 22 brands as well, we also have external clients and internal clients. So you can imagine the external clients like John Lewis, Argos, AO, they're very particular with the way that they want their brand applied to everything. So the amount of special tokens we have to make for John Lewis, it's fun, it's a good time. It takes a long time to actually get that right. So the back end of our token system's ridiculous. It's quite big, but that's what makes it easier for the design team to map everything. And we also have our own brands as well, which is like Aqua, Marbles, as Robbie mentioned earlier. So that's our credit card and things like that. We get a lot more control over them. So for instance, on those in-house brands, we use one grey across everything. And of course, John Lewis wants a different grey set. So we have to do that for John Lewis, basically. I love John Lewis. That's like, no, yeah, all the respect. So that's where we are pretty much with Rise at the moment. And that's in a lot of products across a number of different teams as well. So I say I'm like the one and only. So many people have contributed to all of this. And then what's the worst thing you want to do once you've implemented that many tokens into that many products? A token restructure. This was the most stress I've probably had in my career, literally. We basically, as soon as we onboarded the SaaS product, which was using MUI, we actually had a memory leak with our tokens using Token Studio. So I had just made too many tokens and they just weren't set up correctly. So this all came around, I think, probably, I don't know, October last year. And we only actually eventually got to it. Everything was still working, so it was fine. It was kind of frustrating that we couldn't get to it sooner. But around Christmas time, when everyone was off, no one was here, me and an engineer called Billy. In that space in between Christmas and New Year's, you know, where like kind of time stands still, you can get so much done pretty much in that time. So it was just me and him working, pretty much spending, I think, 3 days on one individual call. We managed to be really delicate with all the tokens as well. So none of the tokens, none of the naming conventions changed. That all remained the same. But with all the restructure of the back end, basically we managed to layer it. So we had our core, we had our platform area where our actual platforms like acquisitions, service and web could actually make their own changes and have their own specific overrides. Because as I say, everyone onboards at different times. And then we have our brand and then we have our theme as well. So that all went through really nicely. And then it took probably a few months for the other teams to get on board with that. And then all the values were wrong in certain places. As I say, with our own brands, that was quite bad. But with the external brands, that was really bad, especially with John Lewis and AO and Argos, things like that. So we found, obviously, that started out as like a kind of technical project between two people. And then we realized, well, we've actually got to present this back to a number of different teams, a number of different engineering teams, a number of different product teams to actually like kind of stagger this release and do it as a V2 of our token system. So we thought success looked like, all right, all the components are working well. Foundations updated, documentation's updated. It wasn't. What success actually looked like was just talking to the people, getting our governance right, having the correct processes in place, and also discussing a new kind of contribution model from there. So Rise was never built by one team, as I kind of just spoke about. I say, as I mentioned before, I'm the one and only, but I would say there's probably been around 30 to 40 contributors to Rise throughout the last couple of years as well. And everyone comes with their different ideas and their different processes. So the core team, me, I guess the last couple of months has been pretty much focused on design debt management because of the token restructuring. Luckily, Figma Canvas got released just at the right time. So I've been able to map everything quite easily. If you haven't checked it out, try and check it out. The design team have always been kind of integral in building the components and the patterns because we're quite a regulated company. we can get everything tested when the designers are actually building these components as well. So that saves me a lot of time. And obviously, where we distribute the amount of the components that we're building at one time, and that's in mobile, web, and also the SaaS product, we can get a lot of testing done pretty quickly and pretty seamlessly. So that's using other people to kind of get the menial task, but also putting that work in where it's quite simple to get done. So it's not an extra burden on one person to do that. And then as we started doing it as well, the web engineers, we used innovation days. As with any design system project, it's so difficult to get anything off the ground. So the one thing I got told by obviously the higher ups, the senior stakeholders, like, why don't you use innovation days? So we had to take out days within the team, get 8 of us together, come up with basically our pipelines, our CI/CD integration. So anything that I was then able to do within Figma, we just pretty much pushed straight through to our products as well. And we slowly integrated all of the teams on there. We had mobile integrate on another innovation day. We had Fusion, our SaaS product, do it on another innovation day. So throughout the time, we discovered different processes and different ways to do things. And when we actually onboarded the mobile engineers, after that was done, we found time within the roadmap. We actually had to work on a versioning of all of our components as well. That was another little stressful period, more fun, but how we were able to actually come up with a template within Figma that was versioned and used a specific change log and get everyone on board there. Because I think as design system designers, we make things that work for designers and engineers. And then out of all of that, basically, there's so many different tasks there. We wanted to distribute that between different team members. And the one thing I really needed was distributed accountability across many different places. Because sometimes it would always come down to like one engineer had to go and do this, another one had to do that, and then they'd have to go and on board another engineer. So we wanted to make that a little bit more, for lack of a better term, more professional, I guess, and have certain people to go to when people needed to be onboarded, basically. So what we did, obviously, this kind of works down from like a bottom up to the top down as well. And it's been the best way we've been able to do things because then everyone feels involved. When it comes to contributors, they're, as I mentioned, doing the components, things like that. The platform owners is something that we brought in because we needed that accountability. So from each of those products, we have 2 people to actually take control. And then also when it's the contributors' time and they want to show something and just get feedback, they go to the platform owners, basically. And then when it comes through to the global owners, that's going to be people like the engineering leads, engineering managers, design leads, and myself as well. So there's a nice structure there. And anything that we'd come up with the calls with the engineering leads and things like that, we'd then distribute down, have our presentations, sell that stuff in, test it across the designers. And trust me, I've done a lot of things wrong. We've got a bunch of processes in place. They lasted a month and then you move on to the next one, basically. So that's been really good over the course of time. And we're always building on that as well. So what that did was actually opened up opportunities for more innovation. And that started to move us away from having to do everything ourselves and looking more into tooling and self-service, basically. These are the few areas that we pretty much highlighted, where we could save a lot of time, that we didn't need the platform owners or the engineering leads or me involved in these conversations, basically. So one strategy, and sorry, I should have mentioned it on the previous slide, Figma Make, when that came along, kind of was a little bit game-changing. Once Claude was obviously integrated, I'll get onto it into a bit. But basically, we built tooling, so we'd stop reprompting. I just had a eureka moment, and I just kept going around in circles, and it came to the problem prompt, and then I'd get the output, and then I'd keep reprompting to get the specific output that I wanted, and it would just waste so much time, so many credits. So I had a moment, I just thought, why don't I just create a tool so I don't have to keep reprompting? And I'll move on to the tools in a moment. But you get into a constant cycle of the prompting trap. There's just no way out of it once you've started to go down that cycle. So once you've done AI discovery for that reason, and you actually validate the tool that you kind of want to build, then you build that tool. You have to be quite lean with your prompts because sometimes it will start to get confused and start working on other functions, and then you realize that function actually hasn't been made. But that capability was really groundbreaking within the team as well, and just opened up to so many more opportunities. So the opportunities, and I like this as well, AI didn't create the opportunities. We had the opportunities beforehand. It made it achievable. It did used to make it affordable. Obviously, when we had all the tokens of the world to use, have to be quite lean now in the way that you're actually using prompts. But I made a place that we could manage RISE for documentation purposes. Managing tokens, I really liked it. Token Studio. We also use Figma variables because everything maps within Figma variables of what we've got. But I wanted a couple of other tools to actually put into a token management tool. So I started experimenting with that as well. So a few of these are still work in progress. So the first, right, got to pray to the gods for this one. So the demo gods. So I'm going to join the call. And I'm going to share. I'm in. So the first tool is the brand configurator. So we kept having a problem going back and forth. As I mentioned, we have like 22 brands and we constantly doing pitches and we're constantly going back and forth. I think within brand, we went back probably 2 sprints to get the colors right, just to get the colors right. PTSD, honestly. But there were so many things we had to work out. And with this just opens up the opportunity for product owners to have control, but then also obviously need a little bit of guidance from design. But it also brings the client along with the journey. So with this, if I just put this in, I can upload my logo here. And then I'll just go for a default set. By the way, this is all just vibe coded by me. So this has had no input from anyone else, bar a lot of testing with the design team as well. And then I could generate that. And then this is what our designs basically look like. So this is a one-to-one copy of our designs and our account management in account summary for our digital servicing team. And this is all set up with our design tokens as well, using the Figma API. So if I want to change out, I think this will probably actually change the bar, but let's make that more purple. So then that will switch out from there. And this can all be done in real time as well. And then I can work down. If I want to see, you can imagine you're speaking to your client as well, going back and forth. You can put in different font styles as well. So I usually try and make this quite ugly just to kind of prove the point. If I wanted to change the gray of the background, I can do that. So you can imagine how much time this is kind of going to save. And then, as I say, you always need a designer there. Don't let a product manager take this away. No offense. We can change out the border radius. We can also add a little bit of elevation here as well. Now, this is just for our account summary, but it kind of gives a product owner or a senior stakeholder an idea of how a design system works across a number of different products as well, which is always kind of hard to describe. What's the point of doing tokens? Why do we need to do this, basically? But you'll see here, we've got our registration page. We've got a post-transaction journey here, where we can go down and actually go through a pretty much whole journey as well. Now, the more I actually prompted this as well, the better it got at reading our designs as well. And then this is our acquisition journey. I said it was very form-based, but this is how the design system is applied to our acquisition journey as well. This isn't actually designs I've made to purposely look a little bit ugly. But you can actually see it from our SaaS product and just a general dashboard there. So we don't have to design everything. We don't have to have every single journey here. It's just to get rid of that touch point that you have with the clients. And it just brings them along for the ride and makes it much more fun to do it with them. We could also change up the content. So if I come over here, I won't spend too much time on this. You can make it look like my account. And then you can also change and add transactions down here, which is quite good. So you could just start to mess around with things and the client gets to see exactly how everything's going to work. Or what this also does, sorry, And then this works on mobile as well, so it brings it down how it looks in mobile. Also iOS and also Android. Now, we also have style guide, so that's exported nicely. We also have an accessibility breakdown. Another cool thing is it actually goes to our dark mode as well. So we can pretty much see everything here, but I know what you're saying. What is the point of any of this if I have to bring it out and then replicate that again? Well, what I actually wanted to do was be able to prompt this. So it exported the tokens to one of our files. So if I come over here, and you'll be able to see there's nothing in here. This is no trick. So I've got to duplicate this file, not duplicate, copy the link. Then I can go back here. And this is all set up just with the Figma API. So we got my personal access token there. Come on. Did I push them? Will it work? It will. And I can come back to the file and you can see that's actually exported my tokens into our naming convention as well. But it hasn't just done that. It's done the tokens at the back end, so our brand set, but it's also aliased everything as well. So everything that we need is there. So I can now take that away and I can just form that straight into our design system. So takes out that work and that back and forth, basically. Oh, thanks. That was just one tool. No thanks, let's not do that. So I probably won't dive too much into this one, to be honest with you, because I probably spent a little bit too much time on that. But another one that I wanted to do was look into the CMS, as I mentioned, all the documentation that we needed to do. So I created, like this is all plugged in as well, and just created pretty much a simple documentation site for people to go to. I think, as Ines said, like, who reads this stuff sometimes? So I'm really trying to get this across. So we actually have something to go and like have a point of call to. We're having discussions with the engineers about how we make this work a little bit better as well. But here, one of the best things that I actually prompted this to do, probably one of the most simple prompts I've ever done, was I just said, can you just turn this into a CMS? And that's exactly what it did. So I can come in here and I can just put in everything that I want to from that perspective. Let's see if I save that and exit that. Oh, look, you can see that's actually done there. I can revert all of this, so don't worry. This feature still needs a little bit of work, in all honesty, but it's linked through to our component library as well. So same thing, use the Figma API. You can bring that in, and I've got my component web file there. As mentioned, still needs a little bit of work, in all honesty, but it actually comes up. Will it do it? This takes always a little bit of time. There it is. There's our button. This takes a little bit of time. It's probably because I got quite bad Wi-Fi. This feature isn't quite done yet, but what it could do, or what it does, is actually generates documentation as well. So don't get me wrong, I read through it. Some of it's a little bit of slop, but with the option to actually have the CMS, we can actually go back in, edit all of this as well. So that's what I kind of want to say. Just don't keep reprompting, think of the tool and then build the tool around your prompting. Right, I need to go back to the presentation. So if I come out of this, and then the tool, the token tool, basically, we still use Token Studio, but because you have to buy a license, I was like, we need more people to actually have access to this. So I wanted to create a tool so we don't have to keep buying licenses. So this actually plugs into our GitHub as well through another API. But the extra step that I wanted to add in was an actual contrast checker for all of our tokens as well. So we obviously have a mapping and everything has a correlated token, basically. And we actually get instant feedback of if that token's working. So that's just a nice added extra feature to everything. So most tools have now become part of the ecosystem of Rise, basically. Like, I always think design systems are more of a service than they are a product. People want to plug in. Well, what's different ways that they can plug in? They can plug into the different tools that you've actually built yourself as well. Now, all of that was built by myself, and I think we've all felt the crunch of losing unlimited tokens. So it was awesome. Like, I was in a Ferrari, I was driving down Milan, it was amazing. Now I'm in a Vespa down an A road on my way to Newcastle. Really tough. It was amazing, as I say. The tools that I just showed you, I think the credits that we built, or I built that specifically, was probably nearing on about 100,000 for each of them. So it was like sheer will to get them done. But what that came out from that was basically an opportunity. So we have to be more disciplined with our prompts. So the share capability of our prompts. So as I basically mentioned, it was just me doing it, and it's difficult to actually bring that across. And if I'm the only one working on the tools, I'm the only one that knows about the tools as well. So if I share the prompts that I'm thinking of, or the new functions that I actually want to do, and then I can send it over to Robbie, and then he can go and then prompt that. So I think we get around 4,000 with Figma at the moment. So off the top of my head, like 20 designers. So we're 100,000, we can get to about 80,000 credits if we all combine our credits together. And with that, it just opens the opportunity for other people who have ideas for different tools as well. So anyone, we have a page on Confluence, can then fill in a Confluence page with an idea, get a few prompts ahead of time, and then once our credits renew, we can then pick a specific tool to focus on and then get that done between us. One thing I'd love to do with the team as well is use another innovation day, and we can all sit there together. We could all come up with different ideas. We could all prompt together to get a certain functionality done as well. So it's being economical with the credits that we have now. So as I mentioned, just scale the capability, put it all together, have specific prompts that you want to do together, have scripts that you want to do, know exactly what function you want to work on. Don't, as I mentioned, you have to be quite economical with your prompts. Use Claude. Like, I kind of use Claude to begin with to get to a certain point, and then I'll start to dwindle down to like the default from there as well, because Claude's quite expensive, but it gets the hard graph done initially. And then, as I mentioned, that just brings the whole team together as well. So, like, as one of my closing points, it's like, I said, like, I was the one and only, but there's so many people in NewDay that have contributed so much to the design system as well in so many different ways. As I mentioned before, it's probably around 40 or 50 people, new and old as well, who have had, no matter how small it is, they've all had something to do with the design system, whether that be building a component, bringing in a new process. And it's all happened on this long journey over 2 years as well. We didn't get everything right, first of all. As I mentioned, I got a lot wrong. As soon as I had more people involved, we looked at the contribution model as well, had more ideas together, and we got things right first time, rather than me getting it right the third time round. So, like, as a closing thought as well, as I mentioned, it's like more of an ecosystem, it's more of a service. And the most valuable thing out of a design system as well, it's not the components, the tokens, or the tools, it's the ability for many teams to solve problems together. And that's what I found has been the best aspect of Rise and how we've built the design system over the last 2 years. I don't have a thank you slide, but thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mike. I think you'll have a lot of questions on how they can get their hands on that tool immediately. I know I have that question anyway. We're going to have a quick reset here, so I'm going to ask these guys to help me with that. Okay, so this is the moment where we go through questions. As I said, there's quite a lot of questions in the slide already. I've also prepared some questions as well, probably not as interesting as our speaker, as our audience, but we try. But before we get into that, let's see if we have any brave enough people in the room that have any questions. Oh, look, straight away. Come on, that's what we love. We love this. Get microphone over to this gentleman.
Oh, hi, my name's Callistus. I'm a technical lead at Domestic in General. We've gone through the sort of process of the design system. My colleague Matt here, he's also our sort of product head of design as well. 2 questions I have, and it's one for Ines. You said about the fork that you had to do with some of your brands and so forth. How bad was the fork that you had to fork things? Was it that different, the difference between one table system and another table system? How bad was the difference? Like, give an example of like what differences were there that you had to deal with?
You are talking when I have to go across different clients and different brands.
Yeah.
Was very bad, was painful.
Examples?
Yeah, when so the time I did it the worst, I made the biggest mistakes was while I was working for KPMG. So we had a lot of external facing clients using our products, and many of them wanted to have their own brand, obviously, in the product because they wanted to use as an internal team a tool for themselves. So it had to reflect their own brand. And back in the days, we were not that strict. I'm talking about probably 7 years ago, not that strict into building design systems. And it was very, very, very painful. As I said, like one tool will take me easily, me or anyone from my team, like a whole month to turn it into a personalized brand product, because now we have to go to every single components. As you were saying, some of them are very, very strict with what we can use. So I had to work very close with the brand team, their own brand team, in terms of font, size, colors, which color can I apply where. So it will be literally just to transform an existing product and make it branded to that specific client. It was just a full month of work of one or more people just doing that because we didn't have proper design system in place back in the days.
Okay, awesome. Am I allowed to ask one more question?
Go on then.
Okay, so one for Matthew. A lot of what you talked with .ds was really, really interesting. A lot of what I saw is there's like concepts or an organization of those concepts. How much was led by engineering and how much was led by sort of the product and design?
I would say it's 50-50 really. It's kind of, we're very collaborative. We've got a design and dev, we all sit together. Kind of when we're in the office, we all sit on the same bank of desks. And when we're remote, we're just slacking each other all the time. And if we've got any problems, we will immediately, I've got my devs I go to that I know is going to answer the question. And then we ask the questions and then we get the solutions. And sometimes we figure out a solution. Sometimes design might want to do something. Developer will come back and go, I wouldn't do that. That's not a great idea. It's going to be really dirty or like messy. Like the gradients example I showed is a good example of that. Like we had JJ work on that for 3 days trying to solve that problem. And our head of engineering went, this is taking too long. Like we need a solution. And the solution was to get rid of the gradients, you know? So sometimes you've got to go through that pain to get there. And you do that by collaboration with the engineers. And we're very lucky that our engineers are with us every step of the way, which I know you don't have at some companies. I've been to talks and engineers don't like to.
No conflicts, yeah. No conflicts. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Great questions. Anybody else in the audience? That's what all the bravery has gone. There we go. Absolutely. Please go for it.
Thanks. Great talk, everyone. Out of curiosity, do you think it's still feasible to use AI to build the kind of tooling that you've built now if you didn't have the Ferrari to just let rip? Like if you were to start from scratch today with, you know, having learned all the mistakes that you made, but starting with all of the AI tools, and you were going to go, okay, let's build these tools so that we've got that collaborative environment. Is it even feasible now? Or are your executives going to be like, you've racked up a £200,000 bill, please stop?
Yeah, funny you should say that. It is feasible. You just have to be very lean with your prompting. I've learned a lot of things around that, as I mentioned. Use Claude initially, and then start to dwindle down. You can always clear your cache in the memory and your prompting as well. That saves a few credits because it's not drawing back constantly. And try to be quite lean with your basically the functions that you want to build into the tool. It might be good, like if you share as well, you're sharing the functionality for one person to like get it into a good spot using Claude, and then you start to use other people's the default mode, things like that. And default is pretty good as well when it comes down to like a kind of simple functionality you'd like to do. It's obviously not going to be as quick as it was beforehand, but as long as you're quite lean and strategic at the things that you'd like to build, you can get a lot done. Those are quite advanced. Within our team, Jamie and Jess, between them, actually built a table generator tool for all of their UX research as well. And that was done within the credits. So they don't have to keep putting their UX research in, prompt again, get their output. The tool, they just upload their research and it comes out. That was done within the credits. So it depends what your goal is and what you'd like to do.
Hello, Mike. You briefly mentioned about partnering up with engineers and updating your contribution models. What changes did you make and what impact did they have on adoption, if any?
In terms of what the contribution did for the engineers or like that kind of side? There was. It's been kind of like with that model, we just have more accountability to people to go to as well. Because there's been a lot of developers, like especially in mobile, like Geosat over there. He did the first initial pipeline as well, and he was the go-to guy for a number of times. Billy within our web team, he's the go-to guy. He's getting a little bit sick of it because I keep sending people to him. But for the accountability reasons, we put those names up on a pedestal, so they have the most knowledge. And if anyone, basically, we distribute the component builds down. So when we actually have a feature coming up, we'll build the component build into that. And the more people that know about Rise and know how we build components, the easier it got as well. It's just that initial step's always very hard to get to. But I found if you give engineers that accountability, it gives them the freedom. And obviously, like, they have different ways that they'd like to build stuff. So we'd have those conversations. And then sometimes I'd, bring it back down and build it the way that they'd like to in Figma. Other ways that they'd do it my way pretty much. But it's all conversations from that perspective. But it really did help a lot with the accountability. So find a person, give it to them, give them that job.
Excellent. Okay. In that case, I think we're going to take a question from the Slido here. So I guess this one is kind of for you, Ines. Keen to understand the split ownership a bit better. So you kind of talked about core and domain. Can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Yeah. So obviously over the years, by doing it wrong, and I did it in the past of owning the whole design system on my own, and not having any support and not, giving anyone else in the team, as you were saying, accountability for, being part of it as well. I end up literally knees deep drowning into the design system. Everything was my responsibility. Talking to the developers, making sure their side of the design system was up to date with the designed one. So yeah, obviously after drowning myself knees deep into it, I was like, no, I can't do this on my own. Every time I was away, people will be blocked because they can't, if there is a place to be done, they can be done because I'm not there. So yeah, I decided to start splitting the design system and responsibility and ownership of the whole work. So design system team don't have a, oh, you are single one now. I'm single one too, but hopefully not for too long. But if you have someone that can actually join you, make sure that person is onboarded with you, because as I was saying, if you are away, you are away. Nobody else can do it. So everything core, everything main token, so your colors, your fonts, your size, your spacings, all the foundations, the core team is going to be owning it. And then you have your domain team, which are going to be your product teams across the different projects you have. they are going to be responsible to build all components, all edge cases based on your foundations, and you are only responsible for the foundations. The way I like to do it, I like to have weekly catch-ups with my team, and if anything news come, if I need to update the core functionality, the design system team will be responsible for it based on what the main team is building and the edge case they are building for. And yeah, that's how I like to approach it now.
Excellent. Thank you. Makes sense. Thank you. No. Okay, don't worry. I have more. So I have a question which is inevitable. So I'm going to ask that a little bit later because I know you're all going to think about it because it's those days we live in right now. That should be a hint enough, but it's coming. Don't worry. So for you, Michael, how hard was it to run the project when it stopped and paused often? And as it did that mean that you had issues with continuity, or did that kind of impact that at all?
I would say that's publishing. You know, things change all the time. Our editors work hour by hour. They don't work. So if you say to them something's going to take a couple of months, they immediately lose interest and they want to do something else that's quicker. So we are very adept to like picking things up again. And sometimes it might take a little bit of a while to do that, but we're quite good at dropping and chopping and changing. And sometimes we just got to wait. You know, if there's something's happening that a more senior stakeholder wants quicker and shouts louder, then you have to deliver that. And we're doing that all the time. It's just happening.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. Okay, I will continue. So we have one here that starts off with, I love to hear when designers talk about pace. It's the dialogue of introducing flow and friction. What level does .js help to support the dialogue around pace?
I would say it makes us more efficient, and we are able to deliver things quicker. And with the developers now using Claude to do a lot of the code, it means that, like before, sometimes projects would get stalled because we didn't have enough dev resource to do the designs. It's not normal. It's not quite often design holding it up. So we're now able to deliver more and deliver faster. And getting it into Dot has been a real educational point. Like we're having to teach all of the devs how it works, and we have a few like evangelists that are kind of looking after Dot for us, and then we're there slowly giving that knowledge to other developers in the team, so everyone contributes, because we don't have a dedicated design team at the Independent, and that's not on the cards. So we're trying to do it so everyone collaborates, everyone works on it, and when we're moving towards kind of multi-brand and bringing other news brands we manage into it, we will keep unpicking it and rebuilding it, picking it and rebuilding it. It's kind of an ongoing project. It will keep on going. It's never going to be finished.
So actually, I think that could be a good one to introduce another question. I think that question just disappeared. It was something about balancing. I'm gonna try to remember from just seeing here. How do you? Oh, here we go. How do you all balance the pressure of design stuff fast versus the need to create robust, consistent design systems? Easy question. Do you wanna? And who wants to go first? You go first, Ines.
For me, mainly, I think it's discipline. Keeping that constant discipline between, your design system. It's very easy to forget. I think we all been there. It's very easy to forget your design system. So keeping that discipline on your work. I used to say that unless the house is on fire, Friday is my design system day, because I'm building design system, but also doing product design work. And in terms of the pressure of delivering fast, I guess AI nowadays is not perfect. It's far from being. We all been testing it, and we know it's not perfect. But but yeah, having your tokens, your design system in a good shape will help you build prototypes fast that you can validate, test with your users, and then you can come up with your final screens ready for dev screens for them to develop. But yeah, I think it's that discipline, that constant discipline of, all right, I have, at least for me, I have a specific day for that, unless the house is on fire and there is an emergency. I keep that discipline constant for, it's been like 2-3 years now that I'm very strict with that. So I have that specific time just for it.
I can go, well, as I've said, I've kind of elaborated before, publishing is very fast paced. And I would say, don't be scared to make mistakes. Don't be scared to ship things which are not ready. Like, you can just get it out there. And the beauty of digital is we can fix it. Like, I used to be a print designer. Once you printed it, it's printed, you know, you can't touch it again. Whereas we did make design decisions 4 years ago when I started, that we're now fixing now because that was the wrong decision back then. It's taken 4 years to get to fix it, but we can still fix it. It's not dead, you know, it's ever evolving. So just chuck it out there, see what happens.
I'd probably say context is king as well. We're in a world, obviously, where AI is definitely helping us, but I'd certainly look into the MCP server as well, because obviously, as the guys just mentioned, as long as you've got all your tokens mapped correctly, it makes the build much quicker and much easier, and it's exactly how you'd like it to be as well. And then I think just communication. I think Michael mentioned earlier, like constantly talking on Slack, like the amount of messages I get every single day, and it's like, okay, do this, do that. But I feel Claude and the MCP has saved a lot of the headaches and a lot of back and forth that we've been having. And you know what you're going to get shipped at the end of the day. It's going to be very close to the design that you have. So it's getting quicker. It's still hard, though, to put up with those requests.
Thank you very much. A lot of design systems stops at components. I think this one's going to be a bit pointing at you here, Mike. What made you start building tools and workflows around RISE as well?
So people don't message me anymore. So more just self-service. So just to get rid of those like bottlenecks that we have in design, because I feel like we all sometimes feel like a bottleneck in design. And especially with the product owners talking back and forth with the clients, for us to be on a call does speed things up, but we can't always be on those calls. So if we gave them the tool like the brand configurator, at least they're working in constraints of the design system as well. So that's why I kind of did it. Firstly, because I'm the only person here. So if I can get rid of those menial tasks and then like, give it to other people, then it saves a lot of time on that front.
When you say give to other people, I hear that it could become available. So
yeah, exactly.
I don't want to start any rumors, but I feel that. Okay, so another one for maybe pointing a little bit at you here again, Michael. In such a big product, how do you iterative refactor the UI without ending up with weird combination of the old and the new stuff that don't fit together?
Try and build, well, we have a design system at the independent. It just wasn't a design system, it was a design style guide, but we still work to. So even though we're making iterative improvements to that, the style is there, and that is what we work to. Yes, we're making decisions, like for example, the tokens might make a font go from 14 pixels, well, 13 pixels to 14 pixels, because we have a lot of odd numbers and I'm a bit anal and I don't like odd numbers. So I will be fixing those as I go along, but I know I'm not going to be able to hit everything. So was that all of the question? I've lost track a bit.
Sorry, I need to find it again. Sorry, there's a lot of here.
Yeah.
Oh my God, which one? Yeah, so sorry, the full question is, in such a big product, how do you iteratively refactor the UI without ending up with combinations of the old and the new and running the risk that they don't fit together?
Well, it does fit together because like I said with the styles, so I have kind of answered it. You just got to, you're moving stuff into the design system all the time, and we do it on a kind of like if we touch it we fix it approach. So the devs will go in and they will kind of want to refactor the code as they go along, because some of this code is like 5-6 years old, and it's crumbly, and it's, especially with Claude now, it's quicker to refactor it than to try and fix it. So they can just run it through that. It tells them what they need to do, and sometimes just does it for them, and now just fixing what Claude's done. So yeah, keep going.
Excellent. Thank you.
There's a question in the room. Sorry.
Oh, we do have a question in the room. Amazing.
Hi. So we have a couple of old design systems which weren't scalable. We just now got a new design system which now supports multi-brand. Question for anyone who wants to answer is, how do you get reluctant stakeholders on board? Now, naturally, you have designers who are used to using the old systems, who are reluctant to use some of the new stuff. And I think there tends to be designers. Devs are pretty much on board, but some of the designers I find are, using old tokens and reluctant to use a new system. How would you encourage and try and educate designers to use the new system that we're trying to move forward with?
Sorry, can you just repeat the end of it? Your voice was...
No problem. How would you encourage designers to use the new tokens we've created and within the new components in their designs moving forward? So I've had some designers, I've asked them to use the new tokens and new components, but they're still using the old systems.
It's happening right now. So the way I'm approaching it, because since I joined the company, so they've been working on a very old system, not like a proper design system, but a big library of components, to be honest. And the way I'm approaching is I'm starting very, very slowly. So I'm creating the foundations of the design system. First thing first, based on the new brand guideline that we received this year, which wasn't being done so far. Like, they were still working on old brand guidelines. Obviously, we need to be best friend with branding, because we know they can come back on us. And I'm starting very, very slow. So as I said, I think it's collaboration and communication mainly. So I have weekly catch-ups with the other designers, and we are starting very, very slow. So we are starting first with the colors, making sure all our products, all the designs we are doing from now on are using the right colors, the right font size, the right spacing, and we are like going very, very slowly, because the products I'm working with right now are very, very complex. So I know it's not going to happen overnight. This is going to be months of work before we have the 12 products updated and working on the new design system. But you start slow. You start by your background colors, you start by your button colors, arrow states, making sure your fonts, your titles, everything, everything the scenes. So it's like a slow process, and we are slowly transforming the products. And now I'm taking it with the tech team, the way I want to approach it. What are the easy wins? So these are very complex data products. What can we do to slowly apply this product? Yes, change the font. Yes, change the colors. Yes, change your buttons, without going to a complex background, entire changing of the platform. Pick your easy wins, have your designers applying them, and your developers as well. So that's how I'm approaching it.
Yeah, great. Thanks. Cheers. It's good.
Contribution model. Enable people, and then give them ownership as well, because then it becomes much easier for people to learn from that perspective.
Yes.
And just bring them along for the riders. And
I think it's time as well. I was trying to get designers time, because they constantly feel pressured to get things out quickly, and I sometimes would rather get it out properly. And there's a balance there to be found. I think that's something I need to try and talk to their managers about.
Yeah, it is difficult. One thing I did do, obviously, with the Figma canvas, I had to get into the weeds with like the whole token restructuring. Everything wasn't mapped correctly. So I actually ran a prompt and a script to map to the new token sets and things like that. So when the designers were actually going to use the new tokens or a few differences, they were built into the components already. And then they could actually understand it and visualize it a little bit more. That sometimes helps as well. But yeah, as Ines mentioned, it's just a massive long process.
Thank you.
Say that we're very small, so it's a bit easier for me because with two of my designers are in the room tonight and we have one marketing designer who's not here. So if I need to do anything, I can just talk to them and everyone's receptive to it. So because everyone sees the benefit in it. So it's easier. And our stakeholders, they probably don't even know it exists. And because they're not bothered about tokens, they're not bothered about how we do it. They just want it out quick. And by being able to get it out quick and accurate, they're happy with that. And that's fine. I wouldn't go in and start talking to my CEO about, oh, we can't do that because of this token, because he doesn't want to hear that. So you just get it done, in the background.
Excellent.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any other audience questions? Oh, we do. Now they're woken up. Come on, go for it. Love it. We're going to have this question and then we're going to take one more question.
It's not a question, it's just a follow-up from the previous one.
Okay, go for it.
That's the question. I try and reframe it less as like small wins and more as big losses. At the moment, there seems to be a cultural problem of the team refusing something because it's still available. So you probably need a proper deprecation process of what already exists to make it unavailable for them to stop using it. Secondly, there needs to be an acceptance criteria introduced that a piece of work can't be finished unless you're using the system in the newest form. And it's just not going to get past it. It's not going to get to production unless they're doing that. So I think a few things from different angles of that this just isn't going to work anymore because our definition of quality is the new system and you're not going to meet it unless you go and do it. It have to be harder. Otherwise people won't do it. Unless there's a general company understanding of what quality means, people are going to rise to go to the lowest level instead of rising to your benchmark.
I feel that there was a lot of personal trauma over in that corner over there. So that's a great answer. Thank you for that. We have one more
question too.
Oh, a question as well. Go for it.
Yeah, there was a statement earlier about tokens before components. But how do you know what tokens to make if you don't know where to apply them?
So in the different situation that I have been, 3 years ago when I started building some trading platforms, I designed a lot of components, amazing screens, ready to go. And suddenly another part of the business came, oh yeah, we have another trading platform as well. And it needs to be we want it to reflect what you've been building. I didn't have my tokens built properly. That's, again, I had kind of like duplication of work. So now I'm spending weeks looking at the two different brands and working on my components after having looking at all my tokens based on my components instead of having my components based on my tokens. And that's weeks and weeks and weeks of work to make the two brands now match. And we had to go across because it was trading. There were all our users from our research. We knew they wanted to be dark mode. So we had to be light and dark mode. So it was basically working across 4 different brands and building tokens based on components. So a lot of work. And the way I'm approaching it now, I look at the brand. I spoke with the brand team. What is it that we can take from here? How much can I actually change? Because we know brand and product, it's different. There is things we need from brand, but there is extra things that are not in the brand guideline that we need for product and for digital products. So it's sitting down, collaborating, and I start building slowly. Again, colors, fonts, what are we currently looking at in terms of products? And then it's like product based. So I'm doing all this research right now across our 12 different products to understand exactly which type of token, which type of error I'm going to have, which type of interaction I'm going to have, and build these components on research base, because I have existing products that I actually can research. I can do research on and start building the tokens based on it. And yeah, and the components will follow, are following now after having all my tokens built.
Okay, you will be the last question. I'm getting the evils, but I'm ignoring them.
So obviously we're talking about adding to design systems, building design systems. So have you got any sort of words of advice on how to stop them just becoming repositories of components? Is there a, you know, where is there, how do you identify components to get rid of as much as there's adding? You know, where do you make the decision around what can be removed?
I suppose we do come together as a team when we are discussing these certain components as well, because we've got a lot of old components. Unfortunately, we kind of have to fit it into the features that we get built. That's just the way NewDay is. Every company has the different ways to do it. Within mobile, we've taken a little bit more of a step back. We still have to use the features, but we get more of a chance to really look at the components themselves. We use a little bit of like outside the box as well when it comes down to iOS and Android, things like that. Oh, I could have done with some water. Sorry, could you repeat the question as well again? Don't want to go off on a tangent.
How do you, is there a policy, or have you got any words of advice on how you identify stuff to get rid of to stop it from
deprecating?
Yes, it is deprecating, but it's generally because all of our stuff's quite old throughout the product anyway, so everything somewhat needs to be deprecated. We're not to a point now where we're replacing somewhat kind of a year-old component with another year-old component. We've done it for maybe 2, and that's why I mentioned with the versioning control that I have in the Figma library now. So we do make subtle updates, and we get more of our tokens actually put in place when we have the time to do it. It all depends on the squad and whether the squad has time as well. But the versioning template has helped a lot as well. And then we obviously just are able to do a find and replace, or just kind of get a red layer over that deprecated component throughout our libraries anyway. But it's generally a conversation and what we can fit into the roadmap as well, to be honest, and whether teams have time to go back to it.
Quick one, quick tip.
Quick one. I'm very good at having double files. So I, even like for my design system, I have an archive one. As you were saying, collaboration is a key. We review our design system and components quite often. And anything that is not used or is too old and doesn't apply into the design system or components library anymore will be moved into the archived file. It's going to be there. We never know. Anytime we can come back on it. But yeah, I'm very good at keeping duplicated files, and the one that is shared across the design team or developers is the ready to use one, and there is a separate archive one where all the old unused components will be there saved just in case we need them in the future.
I would say that we're just trying to look more holistically at the site rather than just designing a component for that specific use case. We will now try and think, oh, what else could we use that for? Or do we have something already that would do the job? And when we were doing an audit of .ds, our design system, we were finding components that were very similar. And we could then, like, not straight away, but if we then tackle a job that's got that component in it, we could then maybe refactor where else the duplicates are and just simplify it that way. Because if we can have less components, then it's less to manage. And as a small team, less to manage is a good thing.
I think an audit is a good idea. I don't think enough people make an audit of your components often enough. Just have like as a regular basis of a period and do it, because quite often what we see is someone makes an audit when they try to build a new design system. But actually, as the design system lives, maybe like every year, every 6 months, even like actually audit your design system and see if it's all been used or not. I said there was going to be one more question, and there was going to be about AI, and this could be the longest question with all the answers at the debate. So I am going to control this question. Each of you, so whoever asked these questions, I apologize that I took your question, I'm reframing it. Each of you get to say one way of how you think AI is good in your design process. How are you using it in a good way? One thing each. Yeah. Sorry.
The gap between design and engineering has got smaller.
Excellent.
Save me time with all the boring process.
Yes.
Well, we as a team do a lot of work for our studio team, and being able to iterate ideas using AI has massively sped up being able to design things for new podcast covers and things like that.
Excellent. Thank you. That was the shortest AI conversation you've been to. You're welcome. Okay, so before you all run off, don't. We're going to have a quick run through of the whole presentation, one more last time until I come to the last slide. But while I do that, I am going to also say a very massive thank you to everybody. I want to thank NewDay for having us and hosting us. And I also want to thank the team behind there who supplied us with food and drinks, very kind. I want to thank the speakers. You two are going to miss out on something because I just remembered what we have to do. If you've ever been to a DSL before, you know I have an Oprah moment. We're going to give away some gift bags. Don't get excited, it's not that many. We have randomly selected people, which I have been told and informed of, that I should have over here. So I know the excitement is building, and I am doing all I can to extend it further. Just bear with me 1 second. We have, let's see if they are still in the room. Do we have Danielle Rondina? Danielle Rondina, is she still here? No, okay. Do we have Tash Fatakia? Oh, I knew you that, there you go. That's a winner. And we have one more. Do we have Juanita da Costa? Juanita? No, okay. Then let's see if we have Joshua. Joshua James? Yes. There we go. See? Don't tell the community we don't give you anything, huh? As I said, I want to thank everybody so much. I want to thank you guys for coming. The community, this is why we do it. If you saw something tonight and you think, do you know what? I have a story to tell. I have something I want to share. Then please use that fantastic QR code I shared earlier. There will be a speakers form there. If you have some feedback on what this evening was like and thought, you know what? I have an opinion, then share it, especially if it's a good one. I welcome them the most. We are going to go to the pub. It's just the address is just there. I think just this one. So you thought number 16. Do you know what? I can't wait for next one. You barely have to. The next one will be in September 16th, and it will be sponsored and hosted by Revolut. So we are going to launch the tickets maybe a couple of weeks before that. If you ever try to get a ticket to this, which you clearly have because you're here and you were successful, so well done you. Set the date. It will be announced. Keep an eye out on social media. And again, thank you so much for coming.